welcome you in Matera again, and I really thank Vanya for the invitation, and we're really happy to support this project. I think it's enough for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francesco. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rhiannon Hutchins. I am the chair of Roseo, and I've just got to thank Vanya for asking me to come and facilitate this session here this evening and give me an excuse to come all the way to Matera, which is fantastic. What we're going to do this evening, as Francesco just said, we've got some speakers from Plovdiv, we've got some speakers from a speaker from Valletta, we've got a speaker from Matera. What they're talking about is how they've used opera in all of those capital of culture situations. So we're going to have 3 presentations from our speakers. Then we're going to have a little bit of discussion. I've got some questions to put to our 3 speakers. I'm sure you will as well. And then it's a very important part of this session is to then have a little bit of a world cafe. So we've got 3 questions around the room, which we're going to ask all of you to break into 3 groups and move around. And this is part of the work that we need to do for Get Close to Opera. So part of the work that Roseo is taking forward within Get Close to Opera is to look at what kind of policy, as Francesco said, around using opera that we need. So this evening we will collect some of your thoughts on that, which will make the beginnings of this part of the work that we need to do for Get Close to Opera, which is really exciting to have so many people in the room and to be able to harvest your thoughts. Because I know there's brilliant thoughts in this room. I can see them all right now. Marvellous. Okay, so we're going to start off with Michael Borodev from Plovdiv. He's going to tell us a little bit about the work that they're doing there over this year. So I'm going to hand over to you, Michael.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Michael Borodev. I'm a project manager from Opera Plovdiv. And on behalf of Madam Naidova, our director, and Madam Boriana Sechanova, the ballet manager of Opera Plovdiv, I will give a short presentation of our activities, not only for Capital of Culture, but in general. So, the picture you see here is from the ancient theater of Plovdiv, and this is after one of our spectacles. This is the place we use as a main stage in our summer festival. I will speak for this later. The choice of Plovdiv to be an European Capital of Culture of 2019 has mobilized our theatre to participate actively in the elaboration of the cultural program by combining the cultural and historical features of the ancient city with the high creative potential and professionalism of its team. With its 270 employees, Opera Plovdiv is the largest cultural institute in the city. It has over 66 years of creative history and 35 years of experience in outdoor performances. So, why opera then? Well, opera is one of the most universal arts that incorporates music, dance, and theater, and most importantly, it doesn't need translation to convey emotions. In its preparation for Plovdiv European Capital of Culture 2019, Opera Plovdiv has developed several programs aimed at different age and interest audiences. Restart Opera is the first one, Mrs. Opera's Theatre is the second, and the Opera Open Festival, which I mentioned at the beginning. In order to engage wider audiences, Opera Plovdiv has transformed its productions by coming out of its indoor stage space. Driven by the motto Together, we started out concerts and programs on the street. This is a picture of the main street of Plovdiv, and we have this like small monument with the word together, and behind it you can see one of the great young musicians, Georgi Cherkin, who performs for a large crowd on the main street. We have incorporated our programs into youth festivals such as The Night and Kapana Fest to reach young and alternative audiences. Those are programs which happen in the city spaces, and we try to take part actively in them and to bring people to see our art and to maybe come inside and see a real performance. We have also made music formats with world pop and rock singers such as Dan 1000. This is a picture of this concert with our orchestra. Tire Turunen, Sons of Apollo, Katatonia, Opet, and more. The next program I'm going to speak about is Mrs. Opera Theatre. The program has created performances for children featuring the colorful Mrs. Opera as a mediator and storyteller. The productions are attended annually by over 15,000 children between the ages of 4 and 16. This is Mrs. Opera. And in 2019, this year, a new stage space for kids will be integrated. A pirate ship stage. This stage will be built near the Marica River, the river which passed through Plovdiv, and there will be open-air performances for kids happening. In the Academy of Mrs. Opera, 50 talented children are trained annually, and they participate in the productions of Opera Plovdiv. Opera Open Festival at the Ancient Theatre. This festival is successor of Plovdiv's Verdi Festival, Operatic Festival, which had more than 30 years of history. All the performances for those 30 years were at the Ancient Theatre of Plovdiv, which was excavated in the 70s, and almost immediately became a space for opera performances, and it's a very special place. It has between 2,000 and 3,000 seats, and it's in the same time grand and very intimate. Opera Open Festival is a multi-genre festival. It is open to opera, operetta, ballet, modern dance and musical. It is also open to new audiences, young people, non-opera fans, international tourists. And I repeat myself, but it takes place at the open stage of the Ancient Theatre. We hosted top guest performers, soloists from world opera scenes such as Pata Burjuladze, Huepa, who you see here in Aida, Alberto Gazzale, Christian Benedict, Jose Cura, we are proud to announce, will take part in our hotel this summer, Elizabeth Street, Ana Lucrecia Garcia. Also, ballet performances featuring soloists from Bolshoi Theatre and Deutsche Oper Berlin, among others. We're proud to say that Opera Open collaborates with Teatro Regio di Parma for several projects, including Stefano Polo's La Forza del Destino. This is from last year. In 2019, the great Italian director, Mr. Podo, will integrate together on stage more than 150 volunteers from different ethnic groups for the premiere of his Orpheus and Eurydice opera. theater attracted young, modern-minded artists as soloists who changed the profile of our institution. Also, the ballet troupe has also been renewed recently. Currently, young dancers from 12 nationalities from Europe, Asia, North and South America work in Plovdiv. And of course, the greatest number of ballet dancers is from Italy. Speaking about spaces and opera, Plovdiv's tobacco warehouses are a historic and architectural monument in our city. And they're one of the main accents in the program of Plovdiv 2019 when the city applied for being capital of culture. One of them we turned into a new cultural space for Opera Plovdiv with the establishment of a rehearsal hall and a new chamber stage. Here you can see part of our orchestra working, and across the room there is another room where our soloists and dancers work also. So what were the measurable results of these efforts? Speaking about the period of 2014-2018, the audience at the Ancient Theatre has increased by 250%. And we managed to increase the prices of the tickets by 416% in the same time period. The programs of Opera Plovdiv and especially of Opera Open Festival contribute to the development of international cultural tourism that is beneficial to local businesses with its added value. In 2018, 30% of our audience members were foreign visitors. So as a final thought, we are hopeful and convinced that our programs will continue after 2019 with the same energy, and hopefully, as the local paper stated, more people in Plovdiv go to see opera spectacles than football matches.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
No. Okay, so do we need to change presentations quickly because we're going to move on to Valletta. And we have with us this evening Antoine Ferrugia.
Yes, hello.
So Antoine was the production manager and art director at Valletta Opera. Was?
Yes. It is quite complicated. There's the special events program and the program per se, the full program.
Yes.
And we presented a program for special events that was namely the opening, Pageant of the Seas, the closing, and 2 other projects, but we insisted that we also include a film and an opera. We had...
Sorry, are you stand for your presentation?
No.
Okay. I just don't want to stand here for the whole thing.
It's okay?
So I'm going to hand over to Antoine.
Okay.
He's actually freelancing now and recovering from 2018, which was very hard for him. So he needs time to relax, yes?
Hibernation.
And so he comes to Matera to relax, definitely, to tell us about it. Thank you.
Okay, so basically we had a nice story in Malta about Malta and Valletta, about opera. But after World War II, when our super theatre was destroyed, the opera went down. And since then, for about 60-70 years, it was considered as a niche to the elite. And we're not good with that, you know? So we have the N1B to Valletta here. We have Teatro Manuel, that's about 200 capacity in seats, and we organize opera in there. It is quite good. The season is quite good, but we have a problem with audiences. We have 80, 90 seats. That's all. and
80, 90 seats?
80, 90, mostly 100, you know, considering we have good productions and important directors from all around Europe. It's not good. And considering also that from those 80 or 90, 30 or 40 of them are complementary. You know, so we insisted that in our program we include film and opera. And our bosses went for numbers in our events. You know, they wanted numbers, thousands and thousands. And told us, oh, no, we're going to fail, and budgets and money, and we were okay. We have our budget. You don't want opera, so we take a few money from the opening, few euros from other events. We gained an important sum, and we created our own opera. My experience is not like yours because I used to, well, I'm a freelance artist, but also organized events. I was involved in operas by designing sets, but then this opportunity, you know, raised my role to the production manager. Our marketing in Valletta 2018 was a separate entity from special events. So they told us, listen, we don't have budget to market your event, your opera. Wow, thank you. So we had to fish, once again, for our audience. And the brainstorming was, what shall we do? Shall we go for a German god that used to throw thunders and, you know, the subject? Or a terrified daughter that she's afraid of telling her father that she has a boyfriend and no, God, man. So we went on actual subject, provocative, and very straight point, you know, refugees, you know. So we wanted to use our events to market the opera. What we did is that the pageant of the seas, where we do this pageant in the Grand Harbour, we presented an area in front of almost 50,000 people. So it was, we had this huge barge, we made the setup, we were starting building the set, we used part of the set, and the people went, wow, what's this, you know? So from there, we started gaining audience and interest. To tell you the truth, I was also thinking of produce a fake demonstration, you know, because when you go in that subject, you know, refugees, when they're coming to Europe, and Malta, and so on, I was also thinking of produce an opposition, a demonstration that opposed the opera. But but they told me, listen, don't go there. We like to create, you know, like to be adventurous. And so this is where we presented our opera. It was the Pageant of the Seas. As I told you, the subject was provocative, and to get more interest in opera, you know, because usually they say, oh my God, I'm going to sit down for 2 hours and listen to a soprano or something like that, and that's it. So you need to do more. So we went to a huge venue that is sacred in Malta for parties and political events. It is the Granaries in Floriana, and we created a show that was not only with dance, music and orchestra, but also stunts, fireworks and special effects. So there was a mix of different elements that could would raise interest in the, so imagine the venue where the Agro MTV happens, and for example, this is a setup of the Agro MTV, and this is the set of the opera. You saw the similarity, you know. This was the set, by the way. The set was my design as well, and I wanted the set to be one of the actors. So it had a main part. As I told you, we had the set was the stage was 50 meters wide. So we had tracks going on with terrorists and special effects, and okay. Has anyone read this? Il non cambiare è inutile. You have in Italy, you have a superhero. His name is Giuseppe Verdi. He's still relevant, you know. And he used to say, il non cambiare è inutile. So why not change also what happens in the orchestra, in the opera, to get more audience, like you said, young people and tourists. For example, in Malta, in Valletta, we have cruise liners coming in every day and stay there, you know, for a night or two. So why don't you sell their ticket, include an opera ticket, and while they are there, they go to the Matera or somewhere, you know, to visit the opera. And why not invest in original work? Our opera was all original in Maltese libretto, Maltese director, which we lack from opera directors in Malta. That is why it is good that we look to Valletta to produce opera, because we lack of directors, and we can get directors from Europe to produce in Valletta. And where were I? Yeah, okay. So that's it. One last thing. The good news is that now, as a legacy from Valletta 2018, we shall be producing an opera every 2 years, original work in Maltese, because in Malta we have 3 original works in our national archives. So, and now Aħna Refuġati, which means we're refugees. So every 2 years, in fact, we're starting preparing to commission a work for 2020, and hopefully we keep on going. Every 2 years we produce a new opera. Also, this could be a good news. Locally, I shall be taking care of Notte Bianca for the next 3 years, and I insist that in my program I will have an opera for Notte Bianca, not a long one. This year I have it is called Telephone, a 20-minute thing. So basically, we have to, do more. And when you're involved in other events, you have to include the opera, because opera, like film, it is a packet of whatever you can imagine. You can put it in, and create. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's really interesting to see what's happening in Valletta last year. So for our final presentation, we're going to move on to Matera and hear a little bit about what's going on here. And I've got the greatest pleasure to introduce Caroline Louis.
I just would like to give you some key about, not about all the program of Matera 2019, because this will take much more time, but doing a focus about the opera projects. So it all started with the project of Matera 2019, when it was presented to the European Commission, had a huge ambition to create only original production. So that was the point. The second point, it was not led by disciplines, but by topic. And every topic had 100 projects. So the projects are transdisciplinary from the beginning. They are open to the transdisciplinary creation, and it is also open to contamination between the local creative scene and the European scene as well. So that means that projects that should have been about more theatre or exhibition are contaminated in between with the partnerships, and the creation is a rule with different kind of output. The third point that is very important is about the participation that is transversal to all the projects. Participation with local audience, with schools, with few people, with many people, but people wanted to get part of it. And participation is not only a word, it's the way of how the project was written, because it was written also by the communities here. So it was the ground of the project of Matera 2019. From that on, we didn't think about a project about opera, but we think about many projects. And when I arrived, I found a lot of great tracks for projects that we had to implement. So we started to work with the creative scene, and one project is here with Compagnia L'Albero, of course. And the second one was with more about opera, was with Teatro San Carlo di Napoli. As Francesco said before, in Matera, in the whole region, there is no theatre for opera. That means no places to represent opera, even open air, and no places to create and to produce it. No competencies for that. So the collaboration was with the nearest opera, that is San Carlo in Napoli. And then we started to work with them with two objectives. The one is starting that Matera has a huge heritage, a huge tangible heritage. It's also a UNESCO heritage. So this is an important part of the city, of the story of the city, and of the image of the city. But what is also very important in Matera 2019 is the intangible heritage. So we consider that we could link what is tangible and intangible heritage. Many projects are based on intangible heritage, and in that way we were connected also, quite by chance, I have to admit, with the leitmotif of the European Years of Cultural Heritage in 2018, that was based with a new vision by the European Commission of the heritage, tangible and intangible, about the heritage as a source of inspiration for contemporary creation. And this was connected also with the open future leitmotif of Matera 2019, and how to link the past with the future with the contemporary creation. So this is the starting point. About okay, but we will see it later. Okay, about the project, very ambitious project of Matera 2019 is Abitare l'Opera, together with the Teatro San Carlo. And it was based about the first time that Teatro San Carlo came in Matera. They say, oh, but this city is a stage. So there is no opera. We don't want to do an open-air opera in some square. We want to take the city as a stage itself. So this was the challenge. And on the other side, there was the project proposed by L'Albero about education and how to create with local people and also many competencies in Europe. So we started, and the fil rouge, the red line, is about participation as well. So they both are very ambitious projects in their creation, because these models are tested. The challenge is to renew the format of the opera, renew the format of creating opera. So on one side, with the Teatro San Carlo, we said how one of the oldest opera in theatre opera in Europe, and one of the oldest city in Europe, like Puglia, can renew the format. So what we're creating now is in the Sasso Carioso, considering that there is here, we are in a way exploding the format with one part of the stage here with the singers, the other one with the orchestra, the other one with the chord, and actions taking part in many spaces of the city. The audience is here around. Some are seated, some are standing, some are in some terrace, some are at the windows. Everywhere we can see it. And all the actions are shot by a video camera and then represented in a coherent way on different parts of the Sasso. So this is the challenge. I invite you to come and see it. This will be the first 2 weeks of August. It is also a technical challenge because
It's right.
yes. Yes, it is a challenge. So this is on one side, high-level technique. So we are trying many things, and I hope this experimentation will be also useful for everybody. So I invite you to share it, but also in the format itself of how it goes, because the representation will be Cavalleria Rusticano. Is one act with 1 hour, so it's very short. It's easier to experiment as well, but we also would like to have participants in that. So the artistic director is Giorgio Barbieri Corsetti. His idea is also to involve local actors and also participants in order to blur the limits between the professional, very high-level professional singers, orchestra of Teatro San Carlo, and the participants that slowly, during the day, are preparing the actions with small artistic intervention, like music, singing, choir, readings, and slowly taking the audience to the place. and doing the transition, which are what is called more professional, but this is a unity of actions. So we really want to mix and to get all these limits blurring. And this is for this specific creation. On the other side, and what is extremely complementary, so I would like to consider these two projects made and things like that, is the project by Albero, that is inquiring what is the educational part of the opera, and how to involve a large community in the creation itself, that means in the content itself, and creating a new opera. So I don't want to go on by myself because it's their project and I want them to present it.
I think we have a little bit of issues of presentation. Just check if it's... No, yeah, it's not. But okay, I don't know what's happened. Okay, but the phone is still working. Yeah. Okay, of course we thank us to Ariane. We got a lot of you. We talk a lot with our community here about this project, and we have a co-producer, an international co-producer that is Tina and Lee with Opera Circus. That, as Ariana said, she brings us a lot of competences that we don't. I don't know the word. We don't have. So just because it's very complex project, because it's a very huge and large process, I will just to show you that this photo show our community, but it's not a community of audience. It's really a community of co-creator. And as you can, I don't know if you can see, but they all have these pass, because when we have the first crash test, we really inviting them like an artist, and so they have the pass for artists, because there is the photo of the two generations that is involved in the project. One of the kids of the 50s that they used to live in the Sassi, and the new kids, that is the new citizens of Matera. So we mix their imaginary and a beautiful, really story of opera. It's come, and I invited you, of course, to come in November when the opera will be there. Just because to want to show you the process. This is our composer, the Professor Nigel Osborne, that with the piano and the community of elderly people, they are just discussing and create about their story, and they put this story, their story, into the music, and we mix with the story of the kids. And for us, it's very important to show the process. So, for example, those are all the little stories that every people that are involved in the process. A lot of people, kids, young, adults. We really try to involve all part of the community. So all the single story became a new big story. This is not about Matera, but this is a story from the city of dark and the city of lights. And we try to reply the process because it's important in a so long time, because we start in May of 2018. Like Ariana said, we co-produce artistic production, local artistic production. We try to share the process and how every single story about your own story, about your place of the silence, your an important place for you. Like one street empty, during my program, and how all the story fix and create a city where in every house, in every memory, there is a very important story that combine and create the city. And this is the other partner, Orchestra Senza Spine. This is an orchestra that really work in the community, in the city, in Bologna. And so this is what last year, where all the community have the experience of music. They can lead the orchestra, and Pietro is here today, and for the musician was very moving experience, right, Pietro? And so this is our photo, and it's always don't explain me. But here, yes, you can imagine a kid that is in one of the caves, and with she looking from the new city that is come, and like our opera. Yeah.
I've already heard from everybody. It's been a very, very intense, long week. So we'll do some questions, maybe for 15 minutes, and then move on to the World Cafe format, because that's quite important for us to see. Vanya, do you want to come sit?
No, we are here. Like
Okay, you're
in
here.
the office. Yeah.
Does that mean I get a comfy chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Marvelous, good. So, just the first thing that struck me, I think, from all three presentations was this idea, I think, that together and participation and, you know, bringing people in to, you know, that's a really important part of what a capital of culture does, and that opera can be a really good way to do that. How do you think, in order to do that, in order to make that togetherness, that participation, how do you think opera has to change in order to do that? Because, you know, we know from Antoine's, your example, that maybe when opera is in the opera house, it feels like you can't go in, that sometimes it's not accessible. So, you know, different ways that you found to make opera, to change opera in order to bring people to it. I would be interested to hear. Yeah? Yes?
Can I
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I think to change, you know, we need to be more creative. Okay? So as we thought that could work in Valletta with Digitale and Puglia, and we went all the way. We used all elements. We involved artists that are not purely coming from the opera sector. And for example, we didn't have an opera director. The opera directed Mario Party. He's a film director.
Right.
So the change was really interesting because we saw stunts and energy coming from performance. And we had the score was written from someone who never wrote classic music.
Right.
So the mix was quite interesting. That at the end of the performance, it turned out that we managed to get some 4,000 people come to watch the opera. So that for us was in Malta a super success.
Did you have people in the opera as well from Malta, or was it all artists?
Artists, yes. Yes, we had some 40% that were Maltese. The singers were all Maltese except one.
Yeah.
Was from Spain, was that? Then we had actors, because mainly it was, you know, cantata and acting, you know. So we had actors as well, but we had 40% Maltese, and the other 60% were from Europe, from various countries. So basically, we had 2 or 3 actors and performers from every country.
Right. Yeah. So just opening out and including more art forms, like pulling in different artists from different places
And the sweet thing in this is that his experience or her experience would be exported in their country. No?
Yeah.
So maybe as a performer or as an actor, one day she might be a director or a producer. And she remember, I'm a Puglia, that happened like that, and then it's like this and like that. So you know, the ideas can mature, you know? Not just with the producer, but also with performers.
Yes. Yeah. So that experience stays with them.
Yeah.
To take forward. Okay, thank you. Thank you. What about in Plovdiv? So I saw all those fantastic pictures of the performers in the street.
Yes.
You're taking it out of the theatre.
Yes.
What is the impact of that?
Well, as you saw in the pictures, a lot of public interest. They're all curious what is happening, why are those people singing this strange song on the street, and then finding themselves liking what they see and hear. So this is inspirational for us because there is sometimes, at least in Plovdiv or in Bulgaria, a stigma that opera as an art form is outdated. It's only for older generation and it's not interesting or attractive for young people. And we actively try to change this. And this is one of the ways we do it. Two other things come to mind in the way we try to incorporate the communities and also how we change the opera performances we do. On the first point, recently we did a production of Nabucco, in which we invited all the major choirs who are active in Plovdiv. There are different formations. Who at the very famous part of the opera, please help me. During Vapensiero, the choir of the opera on stage performed, and suddenly all those choirs were in the audience, and the audience didn't know it, and they heard it all around themselves.
Wow.
So it was very, very, very emotional, and there was an encore performance immediately after the first one. The conductor turned to the audience, conducted the choirs.
Yeah.
So this is something we try to do.
Yeah.
I think we'll do it many more times in different forms. And specifically for the opera, what we try to change and maybe improve, I think on by myself, but I think Madam will agree.
Yeah.
We really do put an accent on the theatre in opera theatre. So it's not just the singing or the playing the instruments. We really do try to improve the theatrical performance. In this regard, we invite drama directors to do opera performances. So this is something new we do. I think it's quite successful. Yeah, so those are the two things I can think about to say.
I must just let you all know that we're very lucky to have with us this evening Nina, I haven't said your surname. Nina. Absolutely. Nina. We have Nina here, who's the artistic director of the opera. But she speaks Italian, maybe not so good English. Yes. So Michael is here, but he's looking to Nina for advice as well, which is good. So thank you for joining us, Nina. Yes, that's fantastic. So that idea of thinking differently about how you can involve people, like bringing the choirs in, but also, again, like Antoine was saying, finding different artists from different places. Absolutely. Now, obviously, in Matera, it feels very obvious that you have to think very differently about opera from the start, as you said, because you do not have a theatre. And so thinking...
The mother's choice was not to present opera.
Yes. Yes. So either no opera, or we have to do opera differently. Yes. This is good. Yes.
So that was the starting point.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we decided to take it as a high challenge. because it was, but in the mission of the European Capital of Culture, there is also the duty and privilege of doing experimentation and having the time for the process. So that's also what they are doing with the Silent City, taking time also to create day after day, involving people, but not only to involve them, that's not the point. It's, I guess the privilege, it's this experimentation. So now we are fully immersed in this process. So it could sound difficult for us to explain it, but really I hope with the result, we will be able also to have clear not only what is the output, but all the work and the stages and the steps of this work that could be really useful, or maybe from inspiration from all of you, from your network, or who is interested also in, we don't want to renew just to renew, that's, I guess it's not the point, it's the way of giving a new value of an heritage with respect. And just to this proposal to the audience. And the fact that the participants is not only just to go on the stage and having more people, it's really the way of having another relationship with the audience.
As an artist,
yes, that was. But also in creation itself.
And I mean, that's the gift of the Capital of Culture, is that you have that that time, but also that you can think big. It's an opportunity to think big, isn't it?
Yes, we can experiment as well, we have that time, and our duty is also to share it.
Yes, absolutely. And fantastic to see two such different ways of thinking about that, with the work with the opera from Napoli and with the work from Lauro as well. So yeah, very exciting to see the outcome of both of those. Does anybody have a question that they like to, because I've got some, but I'll just go to the floor. Has anybody got anything they'd like to ask? Tina.
Do any of you, within the process of working towards a different kind of opera, consult with the community itself?
So, in terms of thinking about what you're putting on for the Capital of Culture, what you're going to create, do you start from the community or do you start from the artists? How does that process work?
For this particular project, not really, but since there is a part of the Maltese that are against and the part that are in favor, when we were automatically investing in the subject, so it was indirect. We were as if we were consulting, so, you know, because when you go to treat that subject, you know, there'll be a mix of ideas and opposition, and okay, let's do it because we need to speak more about the issue. But for other projects, yes, we went in the communities and like she said, we went directly to schools and local councils where they use where they organize events for the elderly, and we took their ideas and their experience to change them to the youngsters. So you know, like a heritage.
Yeah.
Do you think the heritage? You know, like for example, we had this issue like of shall we talk about the history okay, we are grateful to St. Paul, that came to Walter, to Napoleon, to the Queen of England, to I don't know who else. But please, okay, thank you very much, we are grateful. But now, let's give the stage to our early access, to the children, and tell us where we're going to be in the next 50 years, you know?
Yeah.
So, that kind of mix ideas, you know?
I
Yeah.
need consultation.
Yes. Quick consultation. Fantastic. Thank you. I mean, obviously with Matera, that's something that's quite core to what's happening in the programme in terms of that, bringing it back to participants, especially for silent opera. Yeah. But in terms of starting, when you were starting to put the programme together, did you consult with the community, spend a lot of time talking to the people of Matera about what they wanted to see?
This work was made in the time of the candidacy by the community.
Yeah.
So it was already made.
Already done. Yeah. Already. And did they want opera?
As well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. But the fact is that I say, because I'm French, because I'm coming from abroad, I would like to say in Italy, of course, because this is part of the general culture.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is something that is strongly Italian.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In
Absolutely.
the history as
So
a
to have
heritage. So
Yeah.
the beauty also of the European capital of culture is, in the case of Matera, but in general, is what Matera is giving to Europe and what Europe is giving to Matera.
Yeah.
So what is really Italian or really coming from Matera as a value, as example, has to be shared with Europe and vice versa. In terms of contamination as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going out of the way of your discussion, but I would like to, because it's something that happens, sorry, you asked your presentation.
Well,
Do you want to answer?
Yes. We'll come
Well,
back to it.
obviously I needed to speak with Madame Naidenburg because she's the creative mastermind of our opera, and I want to represent her idea as clearly as possible.
Yes.
Of course, I have my own opinion, but so to answer the question shortly, Opera Plovdiv is the one who is leading in regards to making the artistic program. But to elaborate, we give opportunities, or more correctly to say, we have opportunities to cooperate and to work with visionaries, artistic visionaries, who create specific works for the specific time and audiences through our theater. The theater then finds a way to attract the different types of audience, and we had something like a motto recently that the rhythm of Plovdiv now is three четверти музика, three-fourths in music. So the pulse of the city is like waltz because of Opera Plovdiv. We believe we managed to do that by collaborating with artistic visionaries from different countries who gather for specific projects. They offer them to us, and with our artists we try to create them as best as possible.
Good. Thank you. Ariane, did you want to say something?
Yes, because it's my impression about a new trend about how people see opera, and so I guess we have the impression to renew it, but I guess the process is in itself within the opera happening now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if we are the artifact of it or only following the kind of trend. I'm not sure about it. at a European level.
Yeah.
Because, so as I said, in the program of Matera 2019, we decided to do only original productions, and that's it. But at the end, when we have composed the whole program, there was missing something at the beginning of the year, that means right now, because the production were ready from March on,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
So we had to equilibrate, to balance a little bit this temporal lacking, and of course we didn't have time because we decided it a few months ago.
Yes.
And we didn't have time to produce nothing new.
Yeah.
So we decided to do a launch with a circus program.
Okay.
The circus, the only program that is very based on a discipline. The circus, because the contemporary circus was not so new here in the south of Italy, and also because it is quite open also and contaminated now with other art forms.
Yeah.
So, and it was very possible to bring a huge range of artistic creation and European artists as well. So it was as a launch something that is also the way to connect and for people to meet in a circus stand, and so there was many aspects of that. So we chose to launch it with 5 weeks of program.
Right.
So now we are running it. We are opening this evening the 3rd week.
Right.
And strangely, with all the artists that were in the program, that are in the program, and I talk with, at least the half is confessing me that they have worked with opera. They would like to do it. Either like musician, like circus artist, like dancer, like interpreters, like actors, like it's a kind of dream. But also now, strangely, it looks like something very trendy and new to as artistic challenge.
Yeah.
So it's something that I can personally feel talking with the artists and creators in Europe in this moment.
Yeah.
So I guess the two things are happening.
Is the thing that they want to reach for.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. I think it's from a perspective of Roseo, you know, we see more and more how you know, you have opera like with the artists at the top, and then community opera, and that more and more that isn't. It isn't like a ladder to climb, but it's like a continuum. So actually, you can make opera with just artists, as you did in Valletta, or you can make opera like you're doing in Matera, with, you know, the whole community involved. But actually, you know, that you can be anywhere on that spectrum as well. You can find your moment in the middle with the hookah, where you have your choirs in the audience, and then you can. And actually, we need to keep inviting people to be creators and to find moments to participate, to be together, you know, as you are. And actually, the more we do that, the more exciting it is, I think, for everybody, for the artists, for the communities, and, you know, then we will make something new in opera, always. So, let's just keep doing that. Yes, yes, this is the way to do it. Okay, I think we're going to close the discussion and move on to a little bit of time for you to discuss. So we've got 3 questions around the room, Valerie. Is this true? Yes, 3 questions. And we want to divide our audience, and hopefully you'll come and join us in this as well. Divide our audience into 3 groups and move people round the room in order to have these 3 different questions to consider. I'm going to give you probably 10 minutes, maybe even 6 minutes. 6 minutes. There we go, on each question. To have a discussion. And do we have some paper for people to names?
I think partners have to be ready to manage the thing. The
Okay, so we have a different partner on each question?
Yeah.
Okay.